It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of March 6, 1992. We got 5 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. And we're going to start off with the first movie that we have here, and that is Pierce Brosnan and Jeff Fahey in Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man. Sort of. We'll talk about it after we show you the trailer.
From the mind of Stephen King comes the story of a simple man.
I can make you smarter.
A brilliant scientist.
It's going to be like being up there with the stars, Joe. Be like going to another planet.
And an experiment in virtual reality. Now, the imaginary is real.
Mind over matter, Dr. Angelo. This is beyond anything I ever expected.
And reality is beyond belief. Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man.
Okay, first of all, I wanted to get that trailer specifically because it did say Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man, but unfortunately that came from the City Slickers VHS tape, and I couldn't find a clean copy online, so I just took it from another video which had somebody else recorded off of TV, so that's why it looks so bad. But like I said before, there's a little bit of a story behind this. This is technically not based off of a Stephen King story, sort of. The title itself comes from a 1975 short story by King, and the actual film itself was adapted from an original screenplay called Cyber God. Both stories involving a gardener who operates his lawnmower, but the film has very similarities to what King's story was. And because of this, Stephen King sued the company and won the lawsuit to have his name removed from the credits. Like, if you look online for the trailer for this, and on a Scream Factory's website and all these other websites, it automatically takes out the fact that Stephen King was involved in this. So, like, it'll go in the beginning from the imagination, and then just and then just nothing after that. But you could tell that they were going to say from the imagination of Stephen King, which technically wasn't true. And he actually won more money because they actually used that in the home video as well. They used his name on there, and so yeah, that's an interesting story about this. This is not technically a Stephen King film, although if you watch the film, it's filmed kind of like a story based off of a Stephen King movie. And it's interesting because Stephen King is very selective when he puts his name on something, and he's not the biggest fan of it. Like, he really didn't like the Stanley Kubrick Shining, which that should pretty much tell you what is. He doesn't like that movie, but he likes the one that he did for ABC in the 90s with Steven Weber in the role of Jack Torrance, and he has put his name on some really crappy movies like the Children of the Corn sequels, and most notably Dreamcatcher. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Stephen King is. I don't know. Take that as what you will. But let's talk about this actual movie itself, because we've gone like 2 minutes now, and I haven't even talked about the actual movie itself. The actual movie itself is overall pretty good. It's very dated on a number of levels. The CG effects really look terrible, but it did come out at the right time because we were just less than a year after Terminator 2 really stunned everybody with how gorgeous the CG could really be. But then, of course, as we've seen in years past, that CG doesn't usually look as good as it does before nowadays. But you still get good CG, but it's more bad CG than good CG. This came out at the exact right time for a movie like this to really succeed. Another thing about this movie that really doesn't, feels very dated. The fact that it thinks virtual reality is going to be the end all of this world, and in fact, this movie actually did inspire a number of virtual reality style movies, like more notably Keanu Reeves and Johnny Mnemonic, and from the same director, Brett Leonard, Virtuosity with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Both of those movies came out in '95, so I'll hold off on those for now. But again, we haven't really talked about the movie itself, and like I said, the movie is a pretty good film, and it mostly works because of both Pierce Brosnan and Jeff Fahey. I think these two really work in these characters. Jeff Fahey can be really scary at times in this movie, and he definitely does have a really good performance in here that really stands out overall here. The dialogue here is very badly written at times. There's also a lot of emphasis. There's also a lot of things about the story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, there's one scene in particular where Pierce Brosnan's talking about how Joe learned Latin so quickly, and it took Pierce Brosnan so many years to do it. Well, technically, the Latin alphabet and everything in Latin is, for the most part, is pretty much in English. So it really shouldn't take you that long to really understand that. I probably am completely botching this, but you get some of the idea of how some of this is trying to be this deep, dark, satire kind of what virtual reality could be like. But it really doesn't work that way, honestly. And of course, virtual reality never really took off until most recently with the Oculus and all that. But at least then they've had some time to like perfect it, kind of, sort of. But yeah, like I said, as far as the movie itself goes, it does still hold up, mostly because of the performances by Bronson and Fahey. They really are putting their all into this. And like I said, there are legitimately terrifying moments at times. Like, it even ends on kind of a really scary, kind of a, not really scary, but a really chilling note about a line that's used early in the film, and how this one character doesn't make it out, but but if this certain thing happens, you know that he's still alive, and that thing happens at the end, and just the way that it's shot and the way how the movie ends, it's a very effective scene. It's one of the there's a lot of things about this movie that do work, a lot of things that don't work, but as far as the movie itself goes, I had a good time with it. It's one that I probably wouldn't watch over and over again, but maybe once every couple of years, I'd definitely check it out again. It is a fine movie. It's a fine movie for what it is. Very dated in so many places, but a fun kind of dated in a way when you really think about it. So, and honestly, it's, considering the rest of the movies that we have here, it's the best new release of the weekend, which probably will not be saying much once I show you these other movies. In fact, let's get to another one of those movies, and that is Cuba Gooding Jr. starring in Gladiator. Not that Gladiator, not the Russell Crowe one, a different kind of Gladiator.
You have a gift, Mr. Riley.
You are a natural kid.
The power's still around.
You the boy I've been waiting for?
I'm my own man, Mr. Horn.
Hey, Older, you got some hammer, huh?
Everywhere you go, people are saying, Champ, we love you. Champ, we are with you. Get him.
It's illegal, Tommy.
What goes on in that ring is a human cockfight.
1, 2, 3. You baptized now.
I'm talking $2 million in your pocket.
Be honest about it. You want the money, right?
What do you want, Tommy?
We're in this together.
This is my ticket. I ain't gonna fight you.
You run out on this, you better keep on running. You fight when I say. You fight against who I say.
He wants you to kill each other.
It's time to make a choice.
It's either you or him.
Hey, we got a fighter. He don't pay.
You don't say no to me, boy.
Cuba Gooding Jr., star of Boys in the Hood. Carabuono. John Seda. Introducing James Marshall.
You see, Tommy, you're the boy I've been looking for.
Gladiator. Nobody owns Tommy Riley. Nobody.
Wow, way to rip off Rocky. I mean, this movie looks like a rip-off of Rocky, even with the original director of this, who was going to be John G. Avildsen, who, guess what? He directed the original Rocky, as well as Rocky V. Different quality of movies there, but they're not even trying to hide it. I mean, they really were trying to rip off Rocky, and they failed miserably with this movie. And it's just not a very good movie. I mean, you've got a good cast here. Cuba Gooding Jr., you've got Ozzie Davis is also in here, John Hurd, Brian Dennehy, John Seda, Carabono, and they're trying their best here, but they're not even trying to hide the fact that this is a straight-up rip-off of Rocky, except instead of it taking place in 1976, this is taking place in the 1990s, and really, if you're going to try to do a new Rocky for the 90s, actually try. In fact, do that with any movie that you're trying to make a new version of for a new generation. They weren't even doing that, and they basically just did this. I feel like they basically did this to try to sell the soundtrack, because you saw at the end there, they had a lot of like notable name people from the time period, including a Warrant, Tony Terry, third base, Martin Page, Cheap Trick, But even then, that didn't work. I think the only song that was a success on there was the remake of We Will Rock You by Warrant, but even then, that really wasn't saying a whole lot, so... yeah. Yeah, pretty forgettable movie, honestly. It's a movie that just doesn't work on any level whatsoever. Came out, instantly forgettable, and just didn't live up to the hype that they wanted it to be, so... with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Once Upon a Crime.
Wanted. An unemployed actor.
My name, Balboa, Rocky Balboa.
A compulsive gambler.
This is my night. I'm rolling like a hunchback doing somersaults.
An exotic tourist.
I feel like a fugitive. It's like quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink.
An ugly American.
Call this a police car? And a boiler removed from my ass bigger than this.
A pretty American.
East Coast.
Yes, New Jersey.
I'm so sorry.
An irresistible charmer.
From the moment I first saw you, the light shimmering off your safety deposit box.
A countess.
But if the police investigate, they'll discover it wasn't you I was in bed with.
An inspector to catch the killer.
Lives are at the stake.
I'll do anything you ask. Anything you want. Foreplay.
Pitiful lives, but lives nevertheless.
And a clever canine who saw it all.
The dog is the key.
Do you have the dog's papers?
It's their dog. You got a problem.
Murder most foul.
It's him.
This is the man.
It was this couple.
Help me back. We gotta get out of here.
I'm out.
In a movie most funny.
A woman is trying to kill a dog.
We have found the elusive dachshund.
He is my dog, but just since yesterday.
So what else?
You will need an attorney, monsieur.
What I need is an agent.
John Candy, James Belushi, Sybil Shepherd, Sean Young, Richard Lewis, Ornella Muti, Giancarlo Giannini, Napoleon as Napoleon, and George Hamilton as Alfonso de la Peña.
Okay, Tan boy, you're coming with me. Please, do not harm me. I beg of you. My face is my fortune.
Once Upon a Crime.
Yes! Yes! I love it, I love it, I love it!
Again, if you're going to try to do something for a new generation, can you at least try to do something that hasn't been done already? I mean, not only does this movie look like a mix between Murder on the Orient Express and Clue, and not even a really clever version, it just didn't work. I mean, you have great people involved in here. Charles Shire and Nancy Myers, who had just done Father of the Bride, which was a great movie. A great cast, including John Candy, James Belushi, Sybil Shepherd, Sean Young, Richard Lewis, George Hamilton. And it's directed by Eugene Levy, and I never knew that he directed a movie, and this was the only one that he ever directed. And you can kind of see why. I just don't think he was cut out to be a director. And it's one of those things where, like with Eddie Murphy when he did Harlem Nights, everyone's entitled to be a director. If it doesn't work, then you just move on with your life. And it's another one that doesn't work. It's not really all that funny. It wastes a pretty good cast on here, on a script that really isn't all that clever or intriguing or even that enjoyable. And it's just like they're failing miserably to try to get some good laughs here, and there's just none there. It's a movie that really does not work on any level whatsoever, and it's a disappointment on so many levels because of the talent that's involved here. And, yeah, it just isn't very good. But, it wasn't the only ensemble black comedy to come out this weekend that failed miserably. Let's talk about Blame It On The Bellboy.
Hello, this is your announcer speaking. At this time, the producers of Blame It On The Bellboy had hoped to show you their film in its entirety. But a double bill seems to be out of the question. Instead, we've graciously been granted permission to show you 1 minute of selected scenes from our film. The love scene.
Hanky panky.
Rumpy bumpy.
Slap and tickle.
The suspense scene. The big music scene.
Feeling
Good Lord.
nothing more than feeling. Trying to forget my...
And of course, the chase scene. Unfortunately, our time is running out, and we won't be able to show you the sex scene. Sorry, but if you want to see more, go see Dudley Moore, Brian Brown, Patsy Kensit, and Bronson Pinchot in the story of a bellboy who turns everyone's vacation into a disaster scene. The New York Times calls it witty. This fast-paced farce is effervescent fun. Blame it on the bellboy.
Thank you. You've been a great help.
This show ain't no good.
Yeah, Elvis pretty much they made the good point there. This ain't no good. And if I had a gun right now, I'd probably shoot the TV too after watching that, or the computer, because that's where I got that from. But yeah, what kind of a trailer was that? Like, you're supposed to show the best stuff in the trailer. If that's the best stuff that they had for this movie, then you know that this movie was completely doomed from the start. It's another attempt to try to do another Fish Called Wanda, but A Fish Called Wanda was so much better written, so much funnier, had a great cast involved. This just does not have that. It's like with Once Upon a Crime. They're trying way too hard to get some laughs here, and the laughs just aren't cutting it. They're not funny. It's not enjoyable on any level. It's just a boring movie. It's just a bland, unfunny mess of a film, and excuse me. And like I said, it just doesn't work. It's a movie that doesn't work whatsoever. And that's really all I got for you on this one. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie then. It's Luke Perry in his first feature film after finding success with Beverly Hills 90210, Terminal Bliss.
Is the film Less Than Zero tried to be? Luke Perry in his motion picture debut.
Sexy suit. Arouses my Lolita complex.
For him, there were no rules.
So what is it? You and Alex now?
Whatever he wanted, he took.
Stevie, you okay? Man, she's my girlfriend, and when I say she wants to be alone, she wants to be alone.
Every woman had to be his, even his best friend's girl.
Okay, you pretty much saw everything you need to know about this movie. It's another one of those movies that feels like it's being so important and feels like it needed to be seen in the theater when it could have been like the Fox TV movie of the week or the NBC movie of the week. Because really, there was nothing in that trailer that makes you think that this is going to be something incredible. It's going to be something amazing, when it really isn't. There's nothing there. I guess, to Luke Perry's credit, he's not he doesn't seem terrible in this, but other than that, though, there's nothing in here that I really would see that would make people believe that this is worthy of a theatrical release. This is something that you would find in a Blockbuster video late on a Friday night in the 90s if you're trying to look for something new to watch. You probably grab it because you see Luke Perry on there. He's on Beverly Hills 90210, which was one of the biggest shows at the time. And you probably come back very disappointed by it. That's pretty much all I got to say about this one. It's like, yeah, that trailer for Terminal Bliss does not really engage me in wanting to see it. So that's Terminal Bliss for you. So on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we look at the films of March 13th. 7 movies to look at this time around, and at least we're going to get one good movie out of this to start off with. My Cousin Vinny, great comedy. We'll definitely delve more into that. We also have Edward James Olmos and American Me. We also have Article 99, another good movie, Howard's End, Shakes the Clown, Raise the Red Lantern, Highway to Hell. So a lot of opportunities there for something good. So we'll definitely delve into those movies next time. But until then, thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you folks tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, take care.